Hi, this is Matias, and you're about to watch my interview with Robert Hesse, who was a blackjack contestant in season 5 of Hell's Kitchen, and he was a contestant also in season 6 after 2.9 million fans wrote to the producers of the show to bring him back after he had a heart attack on season 5 to bring him back to season 6 of Hell's Kitchen. He is one of the most popular and most notable contestants of Hell's Kitchen history. So I had the pleasure to interview Robert, and I had a great time talking with him. He ended up being a really cool guy. So I hope you guys really enjoy this interview. It's extremely informative. It's a lot of information that we don't know about Robert. He gives us a lot of just stories that are just so cool. So I hope you guys really enjoy this, and yeah, here it goes. So I just want to talk about your time. So I like doing things chronologically. I want to talk about your time on Hell's Kitchen, and maybe you can give us a little bit of background on your past, then your Hell's Kitchen time, and then what you did after Hell's Kitchen. So I know in between, you were in between seasons of 5 and 6 as well. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to watch this and kind of want to know the inside details of your time on the show and even how you lost your weight and just the story behind that and all those things. So the first...
Start.
All right, so when did you first start cooking?
Are you gonna do like a lead-in, like this Robert Hesse or whatever like that, or just?
Yeah, so I'll do that. I'll edit that in before.
What'd you say?
I'll edit that in beforehand. I'll do like a personal introduction.
Oh, okay, alright.
Yeah.
So, I got into cooking for like almost as a necessity of like, so like a lot of people, they'll read and like they'll see like stuff about like my life and like, like I read articles now that say, Robert Hesse dead, autopsy, Chef Robert Hesse, all this like stuff on the internet, but people get a little mixed perceptions, so how I got involved in it is like I had a troubled past at a really young age, and lived in a boys' home for most of my life in New York, and got in a lot of trouble, and ended up in the prison system at a young age for crack cocaine possession and distribution, sales and stuff.
Yeah.
Was in trouble, just didn't have any positive role models, and but really it would be like washing dishes to get a bite to eat and like work for like nothing, and just didn't know like what I was gonna do. Very uneducated.
Yeah.
Stopped going to school in 8th grade. Never graduated in high school, and really was just a product of like street life, I guess. And, ended up was able to expunge my record by doing a program that was issued to, if you do the work release program or you do this program that you can go ahead and expunge your record. So I ended up traveling, and like they sent me to Napa Valley, and I became like a dishwasher at the French Laundry. Thomas Keller was, or most of those bigger chefs, like Michelin star chefs, they have an executive chef that runs the day to day, and then he's like the name, right? The name on the building, the name, the experience. So met him and really didn't understand what these guys were all about. And to be truthful, is like I was like, why are chefs do drugs and like drink a lot? So they dishes and sell dope out of the back kitchen. And but as my time was going washing dishes and like seeing everything, slowly but surely the chef would like say, "Hey, big kid, come over here. You know, this is how we put away a food truck. This is how we, you know, break down fish. You know, like kind of slowly put me under his wing. Saw that I was there every day on time and early, and while the other chefs weren't there, you know what I mean? Like, you know, helped me learn how to read, how to do basic math, and like befriended each other, but still was very hard on me and never, you know, cocky and like, you know, person. And a lot of chefs that come out of culinary school now, they, you know, you find that when they come through at least my kitchen, you know, they're entitled, and you know, they must be promising them tons of money when they graduate and like what life is now. But back then, I'm 40 years old, so I'm probably the last generation of trained chef that was berated, or that whole throw frying pans at your face and like curse be like this close to you, like pointing and yelling and like really pushing you mentally.
Yeah.
And, so as my time went on, you know, I adapted doing prep, commie chef, moved myself up, and one day I was asked to, you know, years went by, and I was asked to write a paper on, like, in my own words, what it meant to me to, why did I want to cook, or why did I want to be a chef. And I wrote, you know, basically, like, the reason I like to cook is it's the most consistent thank you in the world, and fuck you to me. Like, nobody cares about me, nobody, you know what I mean? Like, the people, I could never afford to eat half the places I've ever worked, and I know my position in the world is, I'm a servant, I'm one of the ones that make this happen, and like, you know, like, you know, where, you know, I started to realize, like, at the back of the house was a group of misfits, and the guys that nobody really wanted to put in the front, you know what I mean, as far as like we got tattoos, and we got gauges, and we got spiky hair, and we got a little more edge, you know what I mean, and like, it was like, I always looked at the front of the house and the facade of like a restaurant, a fine dining restaurant, is your front of the house is all Beverly Hills 90210, that look, and the back of the house you'll find the cast of Sons of Anarchy. So I wrote this letter, and I was also young, and you know, I just thought all people were rich, and that I knew my place in the world. And, you know, one time I was told, like, you know, you're never going to be a rocket scientist, and you're never going to be president of the United States. You know what I mean? There's nothing that you can do to educate. You know, let's just face it, you're not going to go to Harvard, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be this type of thing. So what are you going to do to make your mark on the world? And at first, it really didn't resonate until he said this. He's like, you should look into being in this service industry. You have like a natural talent of like creating, and you take direction really well. So he's like, bottom line is, like, people gotta shit, people gotta eat. So you're either gonna be in sanitation or you're gonna be in and you can make a living at both. How far you take it is up to you. So that kind of, I laughed and I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense. And he's like, no computer and no robot's gonna be able to take any of those two jobs. You know what I mean? So like, you gotta figure out where you fit in the world, and say, you know, running the streets and stuff, you gotta learn how to, you know, make a better living for yourself. So anyway, without me knowing, this letter was submitted, and I got a letter and a full scholarship to the French Culinary Institute in Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
And went to culinary school. I struggled very hard, and I had to get a GED first. And I struggled very hard in like the tech classes or the sanitation, nutrition, costing, any of those types of things where you had to use mathematical skills or like multiple choice. Now practical, or what chef world knows as practical, where you're shown how to break down a whole side of beef or a whole pig, and and you got X amount of minutes to do the same thing. Like practicals, like I flourished, so I was in top of my class, and I was also, 4 or 5 years in a restaurant, in a high-end restaurant, that I had, already had night skills, already knew basics, and like was already producing these dishes. And how I moved up the kitchen is, I was like, what makes that guy, it was like Ratatouille, It's like talking to Gusto and talking to my sous chefs and being like, well, what does he do? Why is that jacket something else? And really it came down to dollars at that point. I was like, that guy gets paid $25 an hour at 1994, as a line cook. You know what I mean? I'm like, I need to learn this because you're only paying me like $4.25 an hour.
Yeah.
Like, I need to know what makes him special. And like, so I waited for my opportunity, moved up the ladder, and like fought my way through the kitchen. Did my time, paid my dues in that respect. And then culinary school, I was working as a chef at the Russian tea room, and not as a chef, but as a prep cook, and worked my way through school. Even though I was on a scholarship, it was required to have a job. So I was over being a prep chef, but I learned very quickly that as a prep chef, as a prep chef, there was doing like, you learn all the food, and and that's what I tell prep guys now is like, when you're a prep guy, you think you're at the bottom of the barrel, or a dishwasher, you think you're at the bottom, but you really have more access and more knowledge of everything that is day to day as an operating chef, from like how do you maintain the quality of ingredients, how it's ordered, how it's stored, and the preparation for each dish. So the preparation of each dish, they started with prep prep, right? And then we are the facilitator of those meetings as the guys on the line. Or you would have to pay all those guys from like open to close, and you would never make any money. So you have these shifts, especially with larger scale. So anyway, I went in there as a prep guy, and then fought vigorously on work ethic to be like your own prep course. You know what I mean? They give you a list, and you're like, what next? You know what I mean? So that makes you more visible and more saying, hey, get on my line, I need help. And usually chefs are very particular on like, they just don't let anybody on their hotline, you know what I mean? Or their prep line, or their cook line, because, that's their baby, and they don't want to put in a cold body or warm body to fill space, So usually it's a necessity too, like somebody might be drunk and came in late, or they got fired and now they're strapped, so you have your golden ticket, your one opportunity to prove yourself. So you go out there and you're just like slinging it and paying attention to how they plated and designed, so when you have your opportunity, you do it flawlessly, and like they never miss a beat, and you're called in the chef office, and you're like, I'm going to offer you the job. And that's how it went. And so culinary school was easy for me other than the regular stuff, and I worked my way around New York City while in school. And then I decided at the time I was pushing like 450 pounds, and really weight was never an issue for me in the kitchen at that time. Lived in excess. I think that my weight was attributed to not having anything as a kid and growing up with zero. Like, people out there that see this, they may be accustomed to having Christmases, birthdays, bar mitzvahs, and all these family get-togethers, barbecues. I never had that. I don't do those things, and it's new to me and like that feeling. So I work, put myself into it, and I'm the guy that works every holiday, so you can have your holiday.
Yeah.
But it also made me technically stronger and like, more adapted to this business, and like, I make a joke that I get paid to do something I would do for free anyway, you know what I mean? So, but also as years went on, I was like bored and like I said, I feel like New York is a mecca of culinary, but I want to know what Idaho is doing. Like, I want to know what the rest of the country's doing. So I decided to go on this, like, without having any family, not dating, not having any kids and stuff, I decided to go on this, like, culinary pilgrimage, if you will, and say that I want to work around the country, and if it doesn't fit in the bag, I'm not going to take it with me. And I went ahead and started with doing, like, resorts, and basically I would work in Vail, Colorado, and work for Beaver Creek Resorts for the winter, and then take a month and do a bohemian pop-up and work under the table at some restaurant for a month, and then go to one of Vail's sister properties in a summer resort. So I would do beach resorts in the winter resorts, ski resorts in the winter, and I ended up, next thing I know, I ended up working in 36 states and 4 countries before the age of 27.
Oh, wow.
I went to, I say Canada is like one of the countries, but it's technically not U.S., so, meaning, I went to China and went to, ended up working in Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic. And how I got these jobs just went online, man. Like, internet was fresh. Like, they had all these websites like coolworks.com, summerjobs.com, and they're still open today. And like, you put like keywords like search engine chef, and then it'll say accommodation, travel, and everything. So I always say young budding chefs, like, if you're in a shitty, small, podunk town, you know what I mean? Like, you're never going to learn what the guys are doing in LA, or like, you can watch as many YouTube videos and as many podcasts, but it's still you're in there doing it. So I say get out there and risk it, and get on a bus, and get in a plane. As long as you can get there, you can get to work, and they have housing, and they have maybe travel accommodations paid for you to go out there. And when you're living in the dormitory style housing, you're living with other people that travel and do this as well, like this gypsy chef. And you say, where are you going next summer? Oh, I'm going to China. Okay, how did you get, so they walk you through it. How do you get the passport? How do you do that? So that knowledge to me is, I tell the chefs, like, if all you are is a steak that has salt and pepper, and that's it, then you're never going to be a well-diverse chef, a well-seasoned chef. So it's the only job in America or in any profession that the more on your resume, the better. So like when they say you don't want to have a lot of jobs on your resume because it looks like you can't keep a job, well, as a chef, it's a little different, especially when you're a resort and a traveling chef. You're doing it to obtain knowledge. And the thing is, if you want to be a great chef, work for great chefs. Okay? That's the truth. You need to be a great chef. You want the big money. You want a little diverse and say, not only do I do Michelin star, but I need to know what fast food is like. I need to know how to do high volume catering, tens of thousands of people at a time, and what that's like. And whether you did it for 6 months as a banquet chef, just to say you've done it, you know what I mean? And through all of it, do restaurants from mom and pop pizzerias to pop up, urban grills to gastropubs to breweries to all of these things is important to categorize you and to adapt what you learn from each chef to your own style and create what you want to bring to the world. And then there's other chefs that they just want to go through the motions and they do their hourly and they don't want any responsibility and they just want to float by, and that's fine. That's what they do. And then there's other guys that one time an old Italian man told me one day, he's like, you're either going to be the guy pulling the cart as a mule, or you're going to be the guy whipping the mule, driving the cart. Which one do you want to be? So which one do you want? There's only two people in the world. There's the person who drives the cart and whips the mule, or the person who pulls the mule. So which one do you want to be? And I always said, well, I'll start as the mule, but eventually I got to be driving this bitch, because I just can't see it being done any other way. And as time goes, your work ethic becomes like a part of your fabric. And I have like these 3 golden rules, four actually, about being what it takes to be a chef. And I write these rules in my kitchens, like go ahead and stencil them on the walls. And I even buy my guys like little dog tags that I give them once they establish a relationship with me. Like I'll give them these dog tags. And first thing it says, you need sacrifice to be a chef. And then the second one is you need discipline to be a chef. And then the third one is you need balls to be a chef. And then the fourth and final is the humility, right? And now how you pull it all together is those 4 qualities is really, in my mind, what make a chef today. And the first thing is the sacrifice. The job is a sacrifice. Like, if you have a 9-to-5 job and you get to see your kids and your wife and you go on vacations and barbecues and you're there on Christmas Eve and Thanksgiving, that sacrifice, prepare yourself, is the sacrifice of relationships, family, and the day-to-day things that other people take for granted, as just watching a movie and going to the theater or going to the mall or wearing regular clothes. You know what I mean? The sacrifice of what it takes to be a chef and sacrificing all of those things for the knowledge and the creativity of an artist, where it is the chef's world is an open palette. The center of the plate is an open canvas of what you want it to be. But the first thing is the sacrifice to do all of those things, to do what you do for a living and love it. Okay? Then the discipline is the second phase, because you need the discipline to be able to pull off the sacrifice. Where most people have a lot of people in their life that dictate what they do, whether it is your wife or your girlfriend or your children or somebody in your life swaying you saying, I need more time. Because time is the most precious thing that we have. There is no other commodity other than time that is precious. So what you do with that time is important. So the discipline to be able to stick to the sacrifice, whether it be the long hours, the 80-hour work weeks, the stress, the family eating at you. I don't know how many chefs, get divorces and but they choose their craft over their wife or their love because it's part of them. It's in their DNA, kind of. So the discipline to also maintain this knowledge of the sacrifice and not use substance abuse to get through the sacrifice, right? So having the discipline to have that, right? And then the balls to take risks and to do things against the grain and to do. A chef is creative and a chef is to do the unknown or the obscure and to really challenge yourself, and challenge customers. At the end of the day, I think chefs cook for themselves.
Yeah.
So, and they just happen to get the fruits of their labor, you know what I mean? And be like, enjoy, And me, I'm looking for the guy that's popping their belt buckle open and rubbing their belly and being like, man, that was some good shit, you know what I mean? And then in your mind, you're like, thank you, and you're humble, and that's the humility part, because you know the shit's made, you know what I mean? You already know. So, the humility part is to be humble enough to be able to reach back no matter how successful you are, and reach back and grab another guy that needs his chance and wants to come up and not be a prick-ass chef that thinks that he has to hide all his recipes and he is God's gift to the culinary world. The real gift is giving it back to the next generation to know, or whoever wants to learn. And the real gift is the humility to know where you came from and never forget where you came from. To be you are here to create, educate, and inspire through any means necessary, whether that be being a chef or a plumber. You know what I mean? So that's been my core, and I live by it, and know that that's what it takes. And so when people say, man, I can't believe I've seen you on that show and you've been so successful since, and I always say, look, bro, I appreciate the compliment, but I've been a success before all that. I was a fighter before all that.
Yeah.
I was a chef before all that. Now, did those things open more doors? Oh yeah. And I'm the type that's not gonna peek through the door. I'm gonna kick that motherfucker open. So yeah, you know what I mean? The experience brought it to a new level, but I was already a fighter and had these core values and knew what I wanted to be way at an early age, and I was the street guy that wanted to make it, and you know what I mean, and that resonates with people to this day, and there's no, I teach my son the same thing, there's no free lunches in this world, and there's no, you want something, you gotta work for it, so nothing's handed to you, you know what I mean, the world don't owe you shit, you know what I mean, it's what you do in the world that makes a difference, and yeah, I've had turmoil and drug abuse and rape, heart attacks, and all these dramas. But I look at my life now and I say, you know how many blessings that were presented in my life throughout my life? I was taken off the streets. I stopped drugs. People go through shit and hell to get off drugs. Me, I was like, fuck this, I ain't doing this no more. One day, cold turkey, no rehab, never look back. Now I'm not everyone, and I'm not a messiah in it, and I don't have a special pill or an answer for it. All I know is I was like, fuck this shit. I feel like shit, I look like shit, and I don't want to be dead. I'm scared of dying. That's the truth. Mortality to me it's the biggest fear I have. You know what I mean? Is what's gonna happen. You know, and knowing that you don't control shit, and that's the biggest thing. You can't control the small things, so don't sweat it. And whatever's gonna happen is been already written somewhere. I ain't trying to get religious or anything. But there is something out there that designated or has a distant plan and has written your story to a point where it leaves you free range to change the outcome of that story. Meaning, like you're your own destiny maker, but the story's been written. Your time has come. Whether you want, when you're born, you're given a date that you're going to aspire. So and you're given the opportunity by the decisions you make. That is it going to be sooner or later? You know what I mean? And what you're going to go through. So anyway, that's my little philosophy.
Yeah. So you talk about childhood. You talk about parents. One thing I'd like to know is how active were your mother and father in your life as a kid, or were they available to you? Were they around? What kind of led you down the dark path with no family structure or things like that?
You know, so I mean, I love my mother and father because they created, whether it was out of love or it was whatever. You know, I love them for the fact that they had me. You know what I mean? And respect. Now at 40, I respect whatever decision. You know, you never know what they go through.
Yeah.
So I don't blame them and I forgive them. You know what I'm saying? So like that weight is off of my heart. You know what I mean? But at that time, you're angry and young and spiteful, and the world does owe you something. So you're gonna say fuck the world, treat people like shit because you're treated like shit, and there's no good home training. You know, I never had a father. I'll tell you right now, if I had a father that had foot to ass, and that's what a lot of this youth is, bangers and the criminal youth. You know what I mean? It's because they are searching for a group, and they are searching to be a part of something, whether it's negative or positive. They had no male role model in their life that was consistent, other than the other young role models or other young role models that end up old gangbangers. So now they are the role models of the new young. So they're aspiring to look for that some kind of leadership, right? So I can guarantee you, in my own self, if I had a dad or a father that was putting foot to ass and beat that ass and say, like, this is how you're going to be a man and you're going to stop doing this shit, and this is how you treat women, and this is how you be respectful, and this is how you earn everything you get in life, other than you don't steal it, you do it the right way, we might be having a different conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't blame it because I had to go through that to be where I am now. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
So I don't blame them, but I can understand it. And like a lot of these guys, you know, they have like, you know, single mothers that like, you know, work every day and they're not around as much. So they work like 3 or 4 jobs to raise these kids, and like they're not there they're there as loving and respect as they can, but they're not a role model because other than they're working, and some of these moms have to leave their kids at young age at home alone just so they can pay the light bill and the work and do what they got to do. So you don't blame them either, and you try to go ahead and represent like what family is to me, where it was to me. Like my mom, she was never really around. She worked all the time, and it was more like a roommate. And like I left the house at an early age, like 15, 14.
Oh, wow.
And my mom pretty much gave me up to the state. You know, like before that, like at like 9 and 10, where I was an unruly kid and she couldn't handle. You know what I mean? So I always knew who she was and she was around, but it was like one of those things that, but she knows I'm a badass little kid and like she didn't want nothing to do with me, and I was more trouble than what it was worth. So, so we went ahead and like went through life. These fucking people having a conversation. So anyway, they went ahead and like they went ahead and so that one still like resonates home because every man wants a mother and every boy wants a brother. So the father thing is a little easier to choke up, but the mom thing was always difficult. You know what I mean? So that was hard, and like just really as a kid, I just didn't give a fuck. I didn't know the basic morality things of like common sense questions of doing like what is right and wrong. You know what I mean? If you had money, it must be my money because I'll take it. You know what I mean? And like I need to eat, and you got plenty of it. You know what I mean? So I would roll with people that do bad things, and then saw like horrible things on the street, and lived with prostitutes, lived on the street, lived homeless, ended up using drugs, selling drugs, and loved the life, and loved the quick money, man, like, and the easy game, and like, them Jordans ain't cheap, you know what I mean? Like, you want them, I don't have a mommy and daddy that take you school shopping, so if you want them, you gotta go out and hustle, and like, whether that hustle is, I remember like, I would go to the dollar store. Here's a quick story. I would go to the dollar store, and back then it was called Cheap John's, right? And I would buy $20, $25 worth of candy bars, put them in a cardboard box, and make up this fucking story that I was on a fucking football team, and I needed new jerseys, and we were selling candy bars, and flip that shit for triple money, right? And I would do that and in New York you got millions of people, so you do that every day. That's your $100 a day hustle, right? So I had to hustle for times of the day, every day, plus the regular street shit. So yeah, you know what I mean? I don't blame them, and like it brought me down to a path that is not good. Was there fun times in it? Hell yeah, dude. Like, come on, man. Like I don't publicize the criminal life or that kind of like popping bottles and drinking with your boys and having fun and doing all this stuff. I mean, it's New York City, man. It's Brooklyn. It's like you are street made and you're with your dudes and your homies and like. So yeah, there's good times, you know what I mean? It wasn't all sorrow, but there was a lot of times, bro, where it's like scraping to eat, living out under bridges and shit, people robbing you, and like, I just wanted out of that life. I wanted out of that part.
Yeah.
And I became, and also I became socially introverted. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see me now, or what you know me as from the show, I'm like a loud yeller or like funny, maybe, I don't know. But like, then I was very like, I'm into this day, I walk into rooms and like, I have to know where the exits are. I have to know, like, plan an escape route. And like, I don't like large crowds, and you know that's the street life. That's you trying to survive. So you still to this day, and I tell people to this day. I mean, I go into boardrooms with multi-million heirs. You know what I'm saying? And do $1 million deals for crab, for fucking Alaskan king crab, for casinos and stuff. And I'm like, these motherfuckers are more gangster than the dudes with straps on their belts, bro. These guys in these three-piece suits, they're more gangster than the gangster. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's helped me business-wise past Hell's Kitchen and as a businessman to be more aggressive and street smart. That you might don't take it twisted. Like, I like the idea of like walking into a boardroom and like they hear me speak or they hear my mannerisms and they take my look or the way I come across as a weakness when I'm a cutthroat businessman, and that's the street. You know what I mean? That's the street in you of like being a hustler. Like, you can't hustle a hustle. You know what I mean? Yep. So like, you know when you get fucked, and you know when you get. And I'm the type to tell you, I'm getting fucked, and like we're gonna make this right. You know what I mean? And do business the right way, so you become a better businessman from that street life. You know what I mean? And now I go around and I teach kids, and talk to kids about like the trials and the things that I went through and all this success and the story, and say, hey man, look, where most people will tell you that you're a no good drug dealer, I'm telling you, you are a young businessman, and there's people out there, white breads out there, that like all these big families, they're sending their boys and their kids to all these high Ivy League schools paying millions, thousands of dollars to get educated, and they still don't know how to do business, and they dumb as shit. You know what I mean? Here you are, street knowledge, and you like crack cocaine. You are a businessman. You are an entrepreneur. You have a product. You know how to get that product in bulk. You know how to chop it up and distribute it. You know how to hire employees to distribute it. You know how to market that product. You know how to package that product. And you know how to flip and make 3 times, 4 times your money. And to re-up and do it all over again. Now, if you can trade the crack cocaine or whatever the drug you're doing for, say, commodities or a house or in the housing market or real estate, and just find another medium, man, you already 10, light years above the game in the business world at a young age. So that in itself inspires, and you have the street hustle to know that nobody can take advantage of you. You have your eyes behind your head. You know what to look for. You know when you're getting fucked. So I hope to inspire young people that if they're going through that, like, you're already doing it, man. You just gotta, flip what you're selling. And like, maybe it's, I don't care. I mean, all that's gonna lead you is death, jail, or like even more turmoil. So change the commodity, and I don't care if it's cinnamon buns. You know what I mean? Just do it with something better. So anyway, that's. I ended up in Georgica restaurant. Was dating a girl from her brother was a partner at the 4040 nightclub with Jay-Z, and they asked me to wanted a chef for this restaurant called Georgica in East Hampton, and doing this bottle service restaurant. And I said, yeah, I'll do it. And I did it, and I was named youngest chef in 15 years to get 4 stars from the New York Times. And then this is all before Hell's Kitchen, so got a lot of notoriety. I was like Mariah Carey, stuff. And then Hell's Kitchen came, and like that was a weird experience in itself. How that happens.
How'd you get casted onto Hell's Kitchen? What was that process? I want you to take us through it.
So, like, you hear about all these people, like, standing in line and shit. This was, like, the infancy. Like, I consider, Michael, OG, season 5. If you on 5 through 6, you a fucking OG of Hell's Kitchen. You know what I mean? Now it's so fucking like Mickey Mouse and like, come on, man, they getting on that show and like this season, whatever it is, 18, 19, whatever the fuck it is, I don't even know. It's the same fucking show since season 1, right? So like you going on the show, why don't you fucking pick up a Wellington, cook a scallop? You'd think they'd be practicing this shit, you know what I mean? Season 5 and 6, you're like, by then you're like, this motherfucker could be canceled any day, you know what I mean? You don't know. But like you watch the guys now and they're like, they're so cookie cutter. Like I don't know where they finding these fuckers, you know what I mean? So, but anyways, how I ended up on the show, it was like a big fucking deal because it was so fresh, right? And like you hear it on Hot 97, you know, in Manhattan, New York, hip hop channel, like Hell's Kitchen casting at this place, Times Square, downtown, blah blah blah, between this time and this time. So I'm like, alright, fuck it, let's get on the train. Me and my boys, we go on the train, we take a train ride down there. And they're like fucking 10,000 fucking people deep, man. Like in line waiting to go ahead and be casted for this. I'm talking about fucking lines with cops on fucking horses and shit.
Oh, wow.
Like, it looked like Disneyland. Waiting for Space Mountain. And I'm like, it's nuts. And then they have all these casting directors walking around with like headsets and shit, clipboards and stuff like this. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I ain't standing in line and I ain't filling out no application. Ain't about to do this shit. So, and it was hot as fuck. I remember it was hot. So I took off my Yankees jersey and I put it on my thing and I had my hat twisted back. And I was off, right? I was just, let's just go see how crazy this is. But anyway, I was wearing a t-shirt that said, and now mind you, I'm pushing like 550 pounds. Okay, I'm big, right? And so I had this t-shirt that said, I beat anorexia, hashtag, across the front of it, right? So everybody's like laughing and seeing this fat guy with I beat anorexia, hashtag t-shirt, and they're giggling and stuff. And this casting director like comes up and sees my shirt, and I'm out of line. She's like, "Can you come with me? I need you to come with me right now." And I was like, "For what?" And she's like, "I'm gonna get you to the front of the line, like right now. You're gonna go see them right now." And I said, "I get to beat this line right now? Fuck yeah, let's do it." So I'm like, "Let's go." I said, "I'll get up there." So I go up through the line, and like all these people are like, "Who the fuck is that? Why is he so special?" Like walking me up, and I was just like, "Yeah, see you later." And so I go into this room, and they have this big leather couch, and they have this room with all these other women in there, and men, and like they're wearing headsets and shit. And then there's these two beautiful women that are sitting on the couch with the empty space in the middle. And they have like camera and the lights and everything. And they both stand up and they go, "Hi, my name is Lisa Gans," and "Hi, my name is Debbie Gans. And we're the casting, we're twins, or Gans talent group, or talent, twins talent. And we're the casting, the first phase of the casting for the procedures of getting on Hell's Kitchen. And I said, "Oh yeah, no problem. Hey, nice to meet you. My name's Robert." And she's like, "Now we're pressing time. Love your shirt." And I said, "And here's the deal." She's like, "You have 2 minutes to tell me why you want to be on Hell's Kitchen, but I'm gonna stop you right there. We give everybody in line here 2 minutes to tell us why they're on Hell's Kitchen." Now it's almost lunchtime, and we're both bored as fuck with the same answer that we've been getting since we opened this bitch 2 days ago. And that is, I want to be on Hell's Kitchen because I want to show the world that I'm a great chef, and I'm a chef, and Gordon Ramsay, and it'd be such an honor. Or I have a small boy. His name is Toby. He has a peg leg and a glass eye, and he walks and he has fucking like nobody here cares about your fucking love story anymore. I want to change it up, right? And now, mind you, these twins, big tits, beautiful, gorgeous, right? And I'm sitting there like, all right. And she goes, you have 2 minutes to tell us something. Just by looking at you, we wouldn't know about you by you walking through the door. 2 minutes, go. And I go, you two are the finest fucking bitches I've ever seen in my life, and I've never had a threesome with twins, and I'm 600 pounds, and I would love to fuck both of you. I don't need 2 minutes to say that. I can tell you that. That's what I can tell you by looking at me right now. Now, these women, both were, and I was just like, that's all I have to say. And, like, both of these women were like, looked at each other, looked at me, and she just went ahead and handed me this golden ticket, basically the American Idol golden ticket, and it was this gold piece of paper that said, "You've made it to the next round," and like that, and we'll be in touch. And I was like, really? And they're like, that was probably the most honest, coolest, most crudest, nastiest, but very, like, who we think you are, answer that we've ever gotten. And that's what we want. We want chefs that can cook, but we want personality. And I was like, well, that's really what I was thinking. I just said what came to my head. I didn't give a fuck whether you liked me or not, So then the next process is a free trip to Los Angeles, California. Got this phone call saying, hey, you got a flight to LA and we need you to go. And when you got there, then it's, imagine they've been to city to city to city. And like 10, I told you there was about 10,000 in New York.
Yeah.
So then cities across the country. And then they pick 20 from each city, right? So 20 from New York, 20 from Chicago, 20 from this, 20 from that. Then they put us all in fucking Los Angeles at the Grand Hill, right? For 3 days you're in this bitch, okay? And I remember the day I remember the first day, I'm like, oh, fuck, I thought I was on the show. No, you gotta go to a whole nother fucking interview type thing. So now it's with 20 from all these different cities. And now it's with the main producers, Arthur Smith, right? And so I'm there and I'm like, I could give a fuck. I'm like, I don't really even give a fuck. I'm like, free trip to LA. What? I can order whatever I want. Room service? Fuck yeah. Let's do this. Pay-per-view? Oh yeah, pool? Let's do it. You know what I mean? So I was like, free vacation. I don't give a fuck. All these other chefs are walking around there. They're like reading lines for a big part. They're like, I am a great chef. Like walking around the fucking auditorium, all nervous and shit, and they're like practicing. Some are in their chef whites, and other people are all in their suits. I'm wearing a fucking Babe Ruth jersey and a hat, and like twisted Yankee cap, and I'm like not giving a fuck, just smoking cigarettes and fucking look like having a good time. And so they went ahead and and I remember it was so funny when you think of the Blue Brothers,
yeah,
right? The Blues Brothers, like the original season 5 Blue Team cast. I remember specifically like the first day of that experience. Danny Vertelli smoking a cigarette, and here comes Ben LaLanca smoking a cigarette from season 5. He's from Chicago, Danny's from Florida, and Danny ends up winning Hell's Kitchen 5, and we're sitting there, and it was weird how all of us kind of, out of all those people there, Seth Levine, all these guys, not Amanda, but all these guys kind of they could have hung out with anybody, but we all kind of grouped together by the pool, and it was just like, this is some crazy shit, right? You know what I mean? And we already were the cast before we got casted, you know what I mean? And that was strange, and we always talk how it was maybe destined or meant to be, but we became friends then, that experience. We don't know what to expect. We're just fucking chefs and cooks from around the country saying, look at this fucking jackhole, dressed up in his fucking whites and his tote. Really? You know what I mean? Talking shit on people and just having fun. And being at least we got a free trip to LA. We got to be back to work on Monday. You know what I mean? So, but just that strange eeriness of how that brought the early cast together for that moment. But anyway, then you go into a hotel room and it's like Dr. House, and they fucking draw your blood, and you gotta get, and you're in there with this doctor and this nurse, and they do all this shit, your heart rate, and then you this draw blood, and they're checking for HIV and fucking diseases, right? So that's part of the whole thing. So once you get past that, and I'm like, hey, and I remember going to Danny, and I'm like, I just got a free AIDS test. I'm fucking clear to go, man. I thought you had to wait 60 days for that shit. Or 90 days for that shit. They must got that fucking, and I remember just because we're dumb and young, and we're just saying man, this is Hell's Kitchen. They got millions of dollars. They have an answer for that shit. They drop that shit in a fucking tube and swirl it around and be like, he's clean. Next. You know what I mean? So that was funny. And so anyway, I remember saying, I got a free AIDS test. I'm good to go, ladies. You know what I mean? And I remember saying that out loud to everybody in the auditorium and shit. And people would laugh, and other people were like, fuck you. And I just didn't care. So then I went, and then it was your turn. So they called now it's your turn to meet the big dogs, And slowly, as the days went on, you saw the crowd of all those people dwindle and dwindle. So it went from 200 to 40 or 50 or whatever. And then it went down to 40, and then to 30, and then to 20. And then I remember it was all 16 of us in a room. But you still didn't know if that was you. Because they could have been we hate all you fuckers. And we wasted our time, we got to start again, right? So at that moment, as we're sitting in the room waiting for our turn to talk to Arthur Smith in the production, we're thinking well, it's either one of us or it ain't. So, and I remember going in there to Arthur and sitting down. Now it's big lights and huge fucking cameras. And he's like, hey, Robert, man, you've been a character kind of out in the crowd, stirring up shit, with with everybody. And I said, I'm just having fun, man. I'm just living the dream. I'm going through life. I've had too much. And then he touched more on my story. I said, I'm the Rocky Balboa of this shit. Do I expect to win Hell's Kitchen? Probably not. You know what I mean? Probably not. It'll probably be one of them clean-cut motherfuckers out there that look like a chef. You know what I mean? But I'm a fucking soldier. You understand? I'm what Gordon Ramsay's and the fucking Thomas Keller and Anthony Bourdain's. And I said, I know my place. You understand? Do I aspire to be these men? Yes, one day I aspire. Am I better than these men? Hell no. But I'm the motherfucking building blocks on where they are today. Meaning I'm the fucking back. I'm the fucking horse that gets
Yeah.
them. I'm the mule that drives that fucking cart. And I'm all for it. So, like, I will be whipped by a man like that and be a horse to get to his level. So if I gotta take my lumps, I'll do it. And, like, I know my place. And I said, I'm not here to compete against Gordon Ramsay. I'm here to compete against 16 motherfuckers that ain't as hungry as me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I said, I know my place. I'm the Rocky Balboa of this shit. And, like, I'm fighting, and, like, that's the Russian. You know what I mean? And, like, I gotta come out swinging and do my best. And like, that's all I can promise. Like, and me, I'm gonna give you exactly how I'm talking to you. I'm gonna talk how I want to talk, what I say, when I say. If I don't like you, fuck you. You know, I don't owe you shit. I ain't here for you. I'm here for me. And I'm like, I've been selfless for my whole career. It's time to be selfish for me right now. I'm doing this right now. You know what I mean? And like, that was it. I really thought I pissed him off by saying all that shit, saying like, Gordon Ramsay where he is today by fucking motherfuckers like me that have worked for Gordon to get him where he is. Because let me tell you, and a lot of people might hear that and think that's conceited, but it's not. Here's the truth behind that, and the logic is, I tell people today, to my staff, that I stand on the shoulder of giants and see clearly because I stand on the shoulder of giants. And the reason that I can see further and clearer is because I stand on the shoulders of giants. Meaning Gordon Ramsay or Robert Hesse or these people can only get so far without depending on other people that have their back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And remembering those people that I got here because of you, and I appreciate you. Mm-hmm. So, and like, meaning young budding chefs, the workers, the hard people, you know? Because if you think Gordon Ramsay or any of these chefs can run a 500-seat restaurant and do every station, wash the dishes, and fucking wait the tables, mistake, it takes a whole community and one person to lead it, and all those people to believe in that one person.
Yeah.
Right? And his job is to inspire, right? Educate, and motivate. Feel me?
Yeah, I feel you.
So, when I left that office, or that room, I was like, that was probably the most freakiest experience of my life, because it was so Joe Hollywood to me. I was like, I made it. Yeah. You know? And I was like, that was enough. I was like, alright, I'm ready to fucking order like 2 more. I want my porterhouse fucking steak and my cheeseburger from room service, straight up. You know what I mean? Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. And then I remember all of us 16 hanging out, having beers, and then I remember this. I remember like, it's the night before we left, and we all had plans. We all had plans to fucking like, let's go out hard. Let's all fucking Fox's money. Let's fucking party this bitch away before we got to get on the plane, right? And next thing you know, boom, sequester. Had our ass locked in our room all night. Never saw each other ever again. Ever again. Not at the airport. We had a certain flight time. All our airline flights was changed. I actually got to stay in LA in that hotel one more day because my flight left late, like the next day. We never saw each other again. It was like Batman. Commissioner Gordon turns around, Batman's gone. That's what it was. It was like Ghost, right? We were like, what the fuck? This is weird. And then, boom, they announced the cast, and it's all 6, every one of us. So they just didn't want us to talk. You know what I mean? And when they announced that, they put us on that show, that was like the craziest fucking ride I've ever been on, and people ask so many questions on. It's always the standard one. I remember the day we flew in, got on there, 100%. I would say Hell's Kitchen is like this. Imagine a giant hornet's nest and Gordon Ramsay the stick. That's all that is. Okay? We are the hornets. The nest is the situational things that the production puts us in, and Gordon's the stick that beats that nest, and the hornets react the way they're going to react. It's the reality show is probably, I would say, 90% authentic, and to the letter. Like I was saying, is like Hell's Kitchen's the hornet's nest, production's the nest itself, the contestants the hornets, and Gordon Ramsay's the stick. So it's the most consistent, true reality show out there. Meaning, like, they have situations that they create, meaning challenges, dinner service, blah, 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 but it's really our reactions are the reactions of, like, what happens. Now, is there creative editing? Yeah, there's fucking creative editing. Yeah. There's shit I can't tell you that happened on these seasons, that whether it's, like, us, men and women fucking in the shower, I won't tell you who, but shit happens, you understand? You put that many men and women in a place with alcohol and hot tubs, shit's gonna go down, they edit it how they want to edit it, you know what I'm saying? And, like, there's some people on the show that are actually really genuinely cool people, but they make them out to be like a prick, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I believe they cast people that are professional chefs that have a career already. Then they cast, like, novice chefs that are tipping their toe in the water, but are pretty entertaining. And then total newbies that don't know jack shit and just know that they are going to be a total clusterfuck and a shit show, like a Lacey or a...
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, they're just great television.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, I want to be on Hell's Kitchen, I want to be on Food Network, I want to do this. And I'm like, bro, the bottom line is no matter how great of a chef you are, if you're as boring as snot drying on a fucking wall, you're never going to get on, because nobody wants to see you cook. They want to see you tell that other chef to go fucking suck his dick, or like they want drama. The show was created for drama. The show was created so the viewers would be at their fucking water cooler on their break saying that if Gordon Ramsay, a.k.a. my boss, ever talked to me like that, I would punch him in his fucking face. How do they deal with it?
Yeah.
That's the show, bro. Because if it was a show watching how to make fucking Wellington every day a week for 18 weeks and scallops, nobody really gives a fuck about what they're cooking risotto. They're waiting for Gordon Ramsay fucking digging their shit and waiting for either one of the red or the blue team to either pick up a knife and stab him or fucking punch him in the face or tell him to go fly a fucking kite, because internally they want to tell their own bosses these things. And they're waiting for somebody to pop off, and that's the drama of Hell's Kitchen. Alright? Now, through this drama, the creativity of every chef through challenges is you see the expression of chefs, and you see the relationship of Gordon through reward, and what it's like being with him on a reward, and what it's like being with him on a challenge, and the dynamic of how he acts. I say being with Gordon Ramsay is an opportunity to play with Michael Jordan. If you get an opportunity to go ahead and play one-on-one with Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan tells you that you have a shitty jump shot, but probably the best crossover I've ever seen, you will pay attention to that. You will listen. He's the best in his field. you will not think he's full of shit. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the best way, the scenario I say what it's like to be around him. Off camera, he's an amazing man, like a gentleman, like talks about your family, the Yankees, you know, gives you business tips on like saying like, you know, where do you work now? Like, what do? You should do this. You know, you're the type to do this. You have a talent. So he's very accommodating to you off camera, and he's a personality. I remember there was a challenge where Ben Wolanka won this thing, and it was neck and neck, and he got to invite one chef to go have this thing experience, so he invited me to go with him and have this day with Gordon Ramsay, right? And we went to San Francisco, rode the trolley and fucking ate clam chowder, and saw where Full House was made, and went to this restaurant, and we were eating all this stuff, and then it was pouring rain. We took a private jet there, right? They filmed us on the jet, and it was like a day of spoilage, right? And I remember it was pouring rain. It was a monsoon, right? And we were supposed to leave. And Gordon Ramsay signed every autograph, took every picture, no matter what. But then there was a point where the weather was so bad that we were waiting for the opportunity to get in the limo and go on the jet, on the tarmac.
Yeah.
And Gordon's like, well, boys, it's just you, me, and I think we need to invite our friend Jack. And he bought a bottle of Jack Daniels and started fucking slamming whiskey with me, Ben, and Gordon Ramsay in this closed section of the bar for 2 hours. And all we did was get drunk and start talking about life, pussy, money, sports, everything that normal dudes at a bar would talk about.
Yeah.
But you are saying to yourself, that's fucking Gordon Ramsay. You know what I mean? And Ben Blanc and I looking at us like this is normal. You know what I mean? And the way you hear him talk, how Gordon Ramsay goes from the chef guy on TV persona to just a man.
Yeah.
You know? With a couple of dudes hanging out. You know what I mean? And then abruptly get on the airplane or the jet and get back to Hell's Kitchen and be digging in your shit. You know what I mean? You're like, hey man, we were just talking about like big tits and like stuff. Fuck you, get back away. You know what I mean? And like, the experience was good. Everything was 100%. I was one that won most of the challenges. I felt like my time there was really well done. Like, I definitely felt I was the underdog, and I felt competitive every day. It was grueling. It woke you up very early, and like 5, 4 in the morning. And in the beginning, you're all excited. I remember in the beginning with the men and the women, like they had a community bathroom, and the guys and the girls would be like respectful of each other on like using the restroom, them taking a shower, and everything like that. But by like week 3, you saw tits, ass, everybody's walking around naked. There's women taking shit. Everybody's dropping bombs and shit. And you're like, I remember brushing my teeth, and I'm like, here's somebody like really blowing it up, and it's like all up in there taking a dump, you know what I mean? And you're like, oh my god. And you just sit there, you're so tired, you're so fucking out of it. And the goal was, here's a little production tip, is you think Hell's Kitchen's Monday through Sunday, and what it is Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday they close it up, and then they think that you live there all the time, but you don't. They put you in a van, and they take you to a fucking really posh hotel, and they put you in the hotel room for night with fucking TV, all you can eat, room service, and like, I'm telling you, that was like, and they put you in sequester, and you were locked in there with a guard, and nobody can come in or out of there. And like the first 2 weeks, they were like, okay, it's this Sunday. And then you found out it's every Sunday because other production people that are walking around will tell you you're going to have off tomorrow. Relax, you're good. You know, and the reason is because they need a day off. Gordon Ramsay needs a day off, so we got a day off.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so you weren't fighting to keep your spot in Hell's Kitchen. You were fighting for the fact to get through Saturday service, and like you were hoping just to get to Sunday, right? Just jerk off, whatever you gotta fucking do to get your mind right. Watch something to have some sense of normalcy, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you're fighting for. And like, I remember that. And like, it's in the same parking lot where they have Ed Hardy Factory. It's also where the ravine where they filmed Grease with the racing scene of them, and then also the big semi truck busting over for Terminator 2. So that area is where they filmed Hell's Kitchen, and it's a giant fucking warehouse. And the upstairs is production, the downstairs is the Hell's Kitchen, and the kitchen equipment and all that shit. And then the dormitory is inside this warehouse, and it's literally drop ceilings with a ton of fucking lights. And when the lights are on, it's like the lights are on at Walmart, fucking bright as shit. And then when they're off, it's all infrared cameras and motion lights. And they film every part of it. They film you 24 hours a day, waiting for you like you're going to sneak into her bed or you're going to punch him in the face. They're waiting for something to pop off, right? And if nothing pops off, they make shit happen, like put a chicken in the fucking place to wake you up or whatever, you know, or a band. So people ask me all the time, was my heart attack real? Yes, my heart attack was 100% real. I was in the finals, and I was off my way to on the private jet, and I walked off the private jet and stepped on the red carpet and had a heart attack, dropped, boom. And like, I think it had a lot to do with the hours we were doing and the constant day to day. And the fact that we traveled from Los Angeles to Atlantic City 4 days, you know, within a 4-day period 3 times in a row. So, like, that long travel on that little jet being as heavy as I was and, like, the stress on my heart or whatever. I don't know. I think I find myself, I was glad I never had the heart attack during service, or it was, like, during my pit time, you know, where you're in your leather jacket and they have you on the plane and like you're in your own time. So I was happy it happened during that all the time. And so went to the hospital, had a heart attack, then they brought me back, and then Gordon, you know, like I had to leave Hell's Kitchen for the health issues. The insurance company wouldn't want me there because they were worried that I was going to die, even though I wanted to continue. And but during production, like during this whole time, I was like, I don't want to quit. And they came. I remember Gordon Ramsay and all the production coming to the hospital, and they're in the hospital talking to me, saying, "We have so much awesome footage. Your life is going to change." And your life is going to change to the point where people are going to love you. Like, and you didn't even have to try. You know what I mean? So you were yourself. You were going out. This is a technical issue based on the insurance that we have. And we'll make sure your exit is a clean and beautiful exit. Yeah. They took care of me, man. Like, you know, Gordon Ramsay bringing you into the office, telling you, like, he respects you, then hugging you. That was the first time you ever saw, like, a really sympathetic Gordon Ramsay at all during those first 5 years. And, like, where he was getting berated for being a hard ass and a shit, and here's an opportunity. And maybe they use that opportunity, this real life situation, to maybe give him a beating heart, if you will.
Yeah.
We already knew he had that. So, but it worked out for me. Now, life after that Hell's Kitchen, it took about a year before the show came out, and they told you to hush, hush, be quiet, and like, you know, me, I'm like, well, you can't. I said, and like they threatened, you know, we can sue you, Robert. You know, you don't want to do any of that. And I'm like, we can't get fucking blood from a stone, and I'm that guy that's like, I'm gonna fucking scream this shit from the rooftops. This shit, and like I need to fucking hit the ground running. So I hit the ground running. I was doing fucking Hell's Kitchen promotion parties, Georgia Ferrari rallies. And, like, when the show dropped, then I got even more popular than the fucking people that were on the show. And then, like, didn't even win the show. And fucking my whole business was, like, flourishing. I was getting promoted from, like, it was crazy. Overnight, dude, I was getting invited to Yankee games and going and sitting in press boxes, being the chef for Yogi Berra and Muhammad Ali. And Angelo Dundee, the trainer of Muhammad Ali, to being the executive chef at the Playboy Mansion for 2 years with Hefner, and doing HBO Cat House series with Dennis Hoff, and like dating Playmates, and doing things with Spike Television, NASCAR, and it was just because I was on. It wasn't that I was the winner of Hell's Kitchen. It was I'm Robert from Hell's Kitchen, and I was the fat guy that nobody expected to do anything great. And I was the underdog, and the community, meaning the fans, are relentless on, like, because they see one of their own out there living these dreams vicariously through me, and me being saying this is all because of you. And like, I take every photo, every appearance, whether it's $5 free or $10,000, I do it because people want to hear that story and that experience. So it blew up to the point where I was making more, and now this is personal, I was making more money than the winners had ever seen. That money, that purse they won, at that time, at 31 years old, I was worth like $3.6 million after Hell's Kitchen. With all of the restaurant money, the endorsements, the doing Duracell battery commercials, to doing like chef revival, being the fat boy chef face of like big and tall for chef wear, to doing appearances for celebrities, to doing appearances for like I was in Collateral Damage with Denzel Washington as a background chef that gets murdered, you know, like just doing everything, anything and everything, and to working for Whole Foods and for like grocery stores that say I want you to go on a bus and travel as Robert from Hell's Kitchen and do demos across our country, opening stores and doing demonstrations where it'd be like $5,000 a store for 40 stores on a bus doing a tour. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
And I went a little crazy with the money and like bought houses and like lavish things. I bought Shaquille O'Neal's Ferrari and did Ferrari rallies where I did a cannonball run with Ferrari and like for where we shut down the Hamptons, Montauk Road Highway, and we did a rally where we raised money and had a big party back in the restaurant. So I bought Shaquille O'Neal's California because it was specially made for him, and I'm 655 pounds, pushing it, right? Huge. Now, and then I would do lavish trips where I would take, like, if you didn't have a passport, I would buy you a passport, expedite one, and we take 20, 30 deep to the Atlantis at the Bahamas, and we'll buy room blocks and live there months at a time. spend like money on the blackjack table. I go nuts and like, you know, and again, it was like frivolous spending from a guy that never had anything. That if I wanted a pair of shoes, I bought 20. If I wanted a PlayStation, I bought one for each room in the house.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? And I was obscure and put flat screens in the toilet. You know what I mean? And lazy enough that I had a big screen TV in my bedroom that would be across the wall and had one professionally installed on the ceiling. So if I didn't want to sit up, you know what I mean? So, and then what happened was the IRS got a hold of everything. You know what I mean? And what happened was I didn't know. I was uneducated to the point where I didn't know what a 1099 was, and like if you wrote me a check, I thought that was my money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, when they came, it was all right. I didn't even give a fuck. I was like, all right. After buying the lawyer and to keep me out of jail, and after they got everything and they paid the lawyer, it probably left me with $25,000 for my name.
Oh wow.
Okay. And they did a story how I'm the MC Hammer of the chef, how I blew it all. And I'm like, blew it all? Well, I have fucking stories for days, bro. Talking about a guy that lived in a fucking gutter, fucking taking a shit, playing PlayStation on a flat screen in the bathroom, and having a Ferrari and all this shit. I'm living the American dream. If anything, I'm living the Rocky Balboa dream, just like in Rocky 2, where they took all their shit, and like, you hear, I'm the best around, like he fucking gets grit and true back to his nature, you know? And I'm like, you come from nothing and you get something, it's easy to go back to nothing because you're comfortable, you know how to survive, and you have a bunch of stories. Those guys that have everything, they're spoon-fed, that lose it all, they fucking, you know, they can't handle life, you know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, I was like, fuck it, I'm a chef anyway, man. I got a career to fall back on. And, like, I went back to being a chef, but knowing my self-worth, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I get jobs, I was doing consulting work where I was getting paid $85,000, $100,000, or corporate jobs that I would go in there and say, you know, now I don't put on a job act, you know, even then, I put on a job act, I don't fill out applications. I have people source me out, recruiters, and say, I won't walk in this door for under 80 grand. You know what I mean? You know your self-worth, even the young chefs. As you're a chef, you work for hourly, then you go to salary. Never look back, always look ahead and see your next job should be more responsibility, more money. You know what I mean? So that's how I got, you know, in the game. And then having nothing, what happens? That, you know, when you think, that's it, next thing you know, 2.9 million people wrote the show to bring me back as their fan favorite. Not Gordon Ramsay, you people, the fans, wrote back to bring me back on season 6.
Wow.
Just when you think it's over and your 15 minutes is up, you're the only guy that ever come back on Hell's Kitchen ever, other than the All-Star edition. So, on the Hell's Kitchen season 6 was a fan-based thing, brought me back, and I did my time, got all the money from the show again, you know, and it's just a blessing. That's what I mean, all the turmoil and blessings, just when you think it's over, and they just keep pulling you back in, you know. And like I do another season of the show, and as the fan favorite, and have a good time, and life after 6, holy, like, a whole nother, like, spiral to a position of, like, you know, like, financial gain, and now just doing things more smartly, and hiring, money managers, and people that, meaning, like, I want to drive the bus, but I want people on the bus that know more than me, you know, on the bus. You know what I mean? So people I trust, and like putting, you know, if you're more educated than me, and you're like, my entourage is like people that are CFOs and people that do business, and like those people I want to aspire to. So even though like I may think I'm beneath them, I'm really learning and gaining from them just being around them. And so life after that season of Hell's Kitchen took a turmoil for the health reason.
Yeah.
Ended up having a son. I ended up being a father, and ended up having 3 massive heart attacks right after the show. Bang, bang, bang. And then that was it, man. I went ahead and said, you know what? I need to do something with my life. And I approached, when all these people have been coming to me about like promoting this and promoting that, and I can pay you to do this event and this event, I went out and saw them, and I went to, so I built this whole like promotional plan that says, I'm Chef Robert Hesse, and I would like to promote myself as Robert from Hell's Kitchen and a chef to have bariatric surgery to this bariatric hospital. And how can you use me to, one, help educate people that are thinking of having this surgery, and who better than a chef that has to be around the devil every day of his career, right? And so they did the whole surgery for free, the entire thing, $85,000, and I was like their poster child. And I would have never looked like this or be where I am today. To be honest with you, I would not have. Hell's Kitchen saved my life to that respect, because that medium was able to fund my health and me and longevity. So I owe that. Do I think career-wise I would have done the same things? I don't think I would have had as much exposure. But I can't say I couldn't be a success, because I was a success before. Hell's Kitchen just kind of really was like, pushed you out in the world, and what you did with it is what you did with it. Like, I would say out of everybody that's ever won the show, there's a few and far between that you ever hear about. But when you really dig on putting Chef Robert Hesse Google and videos, Google News, I'm a gypsy, man. I've traveled again, worked another 25 states across this country, helping restaurants in my own version of kitchen nightmares where I don't film it, but I'm paid very well to be a consulting chef, to get businesses up and running, or the ones that are failing. And letting them use the celebrity and the notoriety to attract bees to honey. And I always say the novelty of me might get you through the door if you were a fan. But the food and the ambiance and the experience will draw you back. It's not me, it's this. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not a TV chef, I'm a chef. You know? And yeah, I owe Hell's Kitchen a lot for, you know, they brought me to my current, you know, I lost 455 pounds. Now I weigh 155 pounds. Went from 655 to 155. Work out every day. Fucking went from a 7X chef jacket to a small. Went from a 64 waist to a 32 waist. You know what I mean? And like, you know, relationships change. The way people treat you change. Now, where I used to get recognized every day from the show, now people look at me and they say, like, they recognize me like I might owe them money. Do you owe me money? You know what I mean? And it's like somebody they know, and then they put it all together. And they're like, holy fuck. Holy shit, we were so sad you left. We loved you when you were there. We were so worried. You look amazing. Like, you're such an inspiration with your weight loss, and you're a chef. How do you do it? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, you know, money, power, all that, it's done. It's all about health. And my son, he's 6 years old, Aiden. He's everything when I never had a family. Now I have instant family. So really the health thing is for me to be more there for him as a dad and to continue this career that I love and this passion of doing food. And like, I believe that my retirement or my end game is to own my own string of businesses and to also educate people and like train. I don't want to necessarily be a culinary instructor, but more like maybe I'd like to be an instructor at a boys' youth camp where you to learn trades. And, like, I can aspire the next thug piece of shit or somebody that nobody thinks is going to be any part of society. Say, look, my brother, look where you could be if you apply yourself just a little bit. And if my story helps somebody out there get there, then I've done my job or maybe my purpose of being here. You know what I mean? And, like, you know, Hell's Kitchen doesn't define you. It helps you. It opened doors, made me a better businessman, made me a better personal person, like charismatic, talking to people, engaging in large crowds. You know, it put me on Food Network. Now I do Food Network shows. I got 2 shows coming out. You know, I did Beat Bobby Flay, Chop Champions, Guys, Grocery Games, and Cutthroat Kitchen. So you're going to see, you know, if you haven't seen some of those, now you're going to see all of these in the next fall and in this winter that are going back to back to back to back. Just because I've lost all the weight and the story changed. You know, where you're the fat guy never trusts a skinny chef from Hell's Kitchen. Now you're the fat guy who never trusts a skinny chef and Hell's Kitchen and the Playboy Mansion. And like, holy fuck, he's 155 pounds and a lot more sexy. You know what I mean? And like the story intrigues people, so it changes the dynamic, and it also opens the doors for more opportunity to say in the bariatric world as a chef, create cookbooks to help people, motivate people, and like cooking is a responsibility to me now. So not only do I say like I was blessed with this gift of this new opportunity and lease on life that I should go ahead and cook the same way. I still do never trust a skinny chef, and, you know, glutton food, and then a balance with, you know, takes on healthier versions of a Philly steak. You know what I mean? And like, and do that. So, you know, like my currently right now as I travel the country, opening large restaurants for multi-million-dollar companies and partners. And short term, where they bring me in high profile, use what they can. I train staff, hire in place 6 months to a year, move on to the next city. And I like to say, you know, people want to drive a Ferrari, they don't want to make long term payments. You understand what I'm saying? The lease one temporarily. So that's me in a nutshell. Eventually, I'm like, sir, right now I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I'm starting a large project that I'm very excited about called DeSoto, and it's like an urban, stable, and social. Signed a 2-year commitment, but I'm telling you, man, I'll be 42 at that time. I still have this itching and this desire to just be like, put the finger to tradition and what culinary standard is, and I get paid to help other people fix their problems and create. I should be doing it for myself. Does that make sense? You should be doing it for yourself, right? So it's time at 42 to show me and my son that you got to go for it. And I am the guy that goes for it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, put everything against the odds and all in and balls against the wall and be like, I'm going to open a food truck and I'm going to do food truck my own thing. And like, put the finger to tradition, and nobody's going to tell me what to do, and I'm going to feed the masses. And whether that business, that underground business, turns into a thriving, chain of brick and mortars or this culture of food trucks, I don't know, and I don't care. All I can think about is those four walls of that truck.
Yeah.
And produce and what I want to inspire the world. Because there's amazing chefs out there that and I love the movement where it is right now. There's amazing chefs right now that are saying, you know what? I am done working for corporate America. I am done working for the mom and pop that just doesn't get it. And they will sacrifice, going back to the four core, they will sacrifice money, stability, and all of these things for their own happiness mentally, and to build something like, I'm willing to give up 150 to 200,000 a year job just to live out my dream. Because at the end of the day, if they're paying you that money now at 40 years old for your talents and knowing your self-worth, if you go out on your own and it fails, who's to say you can't get that job again?
Yep.
You're still going to need people. So you have a skill that you can rely and fall back on. But it's time to say, imagine this. If they're paying a chef $150,000 to $200,000 a year, that's a small percentage of what they're really bringing to the bottom line to afford a chef to operate at that wage. So as a businessman, I'm like, I should be doing this for myself and bring all of it to the bottom line and to my own company and to do food that I really believe in. Because at the end of the day, no matter if you're an executive chef and make that big salary, I want all chefs out there to understand this. All know, whether you are a conceited little cocky bastard or not, and you run the restaurant and you think your name's at the bottom of that menu, unless your own skin is in the game, you work for somebody. You work for somebody, and at the end of the day, just like that movie Chef with the food truck, and got Dennis Hall telling that chef, it's my fucking restaurant, my money, my menu. Yep. You don't own shit. So I'm there. I'm right there. I'm at that cusp. This is my last sit-down project ever. I'm going to commit to this and finish it and follow it through. But this is my retirement to any full-service restaurant. It's now about QSRs, quick service restaurants, and the concept is pretty much, you feed the masses, you will live among the elite. Feed the elite, you will live among the masses. You will spend more money trying to keep up with the Joneses than trying to feed everybody. And I want to feed everybody. And I want people to know, that I appreciate them as them fans of me and the supporters of me. And to this day, I get stopped at Walmart, everywhere around the country. Mobs want to take pictures or ask me, or now it's the weight loss, and can you come cook for my wife's birthday? Can you come cook? My kid is a huge fan, and go to children's hospitals. I'm blessed. I'm happy and blessed, but I would not have done it if it wasn't for the fans believing in me and pushing me and telling me to do all this and the humility of saying I'm only where I am because of you. And I'm only 40 years old and live the life that most men dream of. Nobody would have thought this crackhead, crack dealer, fat guy from Brooklyn would be doing what I'm doing now, or told the story that I just told you.
Yeah.
So when people say, "Are you a success?" I said, "Define success." You know what I mean? Success is really more of a mental mind, and like I'm happy. It's amazing. But most people, I can't really say that.
Yeah, that's awesome, Robert.
So, anyways, keep an eye out. You know what I mean, and kind of, you know, never know what you're about to see. I got some other things in the works. Some other, you know, television is just one part of what happens. I just really answer the call. They call. I'll do it. Why not? It's a story, right? And like, but we have some big things in the works, so keep an eye out, and also, you know, make sure you hit up my Facebook and like, you know, just see the link of the businesses and everything.
Yeah, and you're on Instagram, right? Or just Facebook right now?
Facebook, Instagram, POF. Woo! No, you know, just it's really like I love being in touch and doing all these videos, and like you see, I love it's like a chronological journey when you can watch me through video, all the way from my progression of being 600 pounds to where I am now in my workout videos and like cooking. It's crazy. And the amount of fans abroad, like Asia and Thailand and all these people, they think like not that I'm bigger than Gordon Ramsay, but they make emojis and like Pokemon characters out of me being a fat guy, and like Malaysia, they're like it's stupid. Like they have a whole not stupid is stupid, but stupid, crazy, and funny. Like they make a whole. They took every clip of everything ever done with Robert Hesse as fat guy from Hell's Kitchen, and it's like the Robert Hesse show. Weird, because I'm fluffy and smiley and cuddly, and had invites to go down there and stuff and do stuff, and it's nuts. You know what I mean? What this does for you.
Yeah.
You know. I also tell people, would I do it again? Fuck yeah, why not? This is dumbass question. You know what I mean? And I tell people, if you have an opportunity and you can get on a reality show, get on it. Whether you do bad or good, get on it. Go on realitywanted.com, fill out every application, do whatever. But remember, people want personality. They don't just care about the one part, the reason you're there. They care about personality. But if you're looking at my journey, he'll tell you that I'm a real deal motherfucker, and I never went ahead and compromised who I am as a man, business-wise or personal. All right? What I do for a living is my choice, and I choose my own destiny. It's a very lonely life. I don't have many relationships because they can't deal with the fact that I work all the time. But I do meet a lot of people. You know what I mean? It's all about, for me, the journey was an exciting one. It helped me gain notoriety, fortune, humility, loss, weight loss, health, and a son and a family. All because of that one moment. So, chalk it up how you will.
All right.
Anyway, that's time. All right? I'm out.
All right, Robert. It's nice talking to you.
Later.
I'm going to turn this off now.